tries the things, then he try to get it.
Yeah, that is true. And interesting point that is we psychologists should know from him this thing.
Then what is need of psychology?
Present, I have
If you are not,
requested. Okay, so now I am requesting all of you, please close your hands for the prayer, inauguration prayer. Oh, Shahana Bhavatu, Shahano Punaktu, Shaho Birjam Karova Bhavai, Tejashina Samastu, Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Professor Shah Alam, Dr. Kanti Srivastava, Dr. Rama Manna, the teacher coordinators, Farah, Ahmed, and Manshi, and my dearest students, we are going to present today the dissemination seminar on applied psychometrics, and I am very much fortunate, or we are very much fortunate that Professor Shah Alam, despite of his very, very busy schedule, arranged time for us for the inaugural lecture. Before his inaugural lecture or the keynote address, I am requesting Manshi, please you present the activities of Ravindric Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust. Manshi, please start it.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I am Mansi Mathur, teacher coordinator at Ravindric Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust. And in this presentation, I will tell you about the Ravindric Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust, RPRIT. First, we'll start with the history of Ravindric Psychotherapy Institute Trust. It was established on 1st July 2018. The trust is educational by nature, and to carry out research in academic field, it's aimed to promote the study and dissemination of knowledge of Ravindric psychotherapy based on the works of Rabindranath Tagore for the welfare of the community at large, without discrimination of the caste, creed, etc., with objects and constitution are as hereinforth set forth. It is a non-profit making trust registered under Indian Trust Act 1882. The Academic Council of Ravindric Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust plays a pivotal role in academic activities and research. The council is comprised of chairman, secretary, and members having more than 10 years experience teaching and administrative experiences. Members: Dr. Devdulal Datta Roy, Chairman; Dr. Rituparna Basak, Secretary; Dr. Subir Nag, Member; Dr. Prarita Biswas, Member; Dr. Susmita Mukhopadhyay, member. Dr. Ishita Chatterjee, member. Courses offered. About the courses offered, Institute provides two types of courses, major and minor. In minor course, the student receive participation certificates, but in major courses, they receive certificates along with mark sheet and registration number. Course has been designed with specific objective to develop research-oriented human resources. Institute offers some general courses like school psychology, applied psychometrics, forensic psychology, Rabindric psychotherapy, environmental psychology, business psychology. The course includes some elective courses as well, like of research methodology, statistics with statistical software, performing art therapy as and when required. For much exposure on psychological testing, Institute negotiates with other organizations as well. The future plans of Rabindric psychotherapy in the coming year will the trust will provide psychometric consultancy to industry, finish MOU for organizing joint workshop, seminar and conferences besides introduction of new courses as business psychology and applied statistics. Thank you.
Thank you, Manashi Mathur,
Thank
for
you.
introducing our institute. Now I am requesting Farah Ahmed to introduce the applied psychometric course to the distinguished speakers today, the invited guest. Farah Ahmed, please start.
Yes. Good evening to all teachers and to all students. I welcome you all for the webinar of our applied psychometric course. I'm here to share the slide presentation on our applied psychometric course. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So I'm here a student coordinator in RPRIT, and so this PPT contain objective of course, what is applied psychometric, difference between applied psychometrics and psychometrics. Applied psychometric course contains an student and teacher profile. So the objective of this course is to train the students to design reliable and valid questionnaire and psychological test in solving psychological problems in everyday life. So in this course, we taught them in a very first module about applied psychometrics. So applied psychometrics is problem-oriented and solution-focused psychometrics. It is concerned with the construction of the measurement models for psychological construct in problem solving or decision making. Differential validity, differential item functioning are some of the examples of applied psychometrics. In this course, we also taught our students difference between applied psychometrics and psychometrics. So applied psychometrics meant for construction of psychological tests, and applied psychometrics meant for construction of psychological tests to solve problems in everyday life. Psychometrics meant for assigning item statistics, item difficulty, discrimination, and guessing. But in applied psychometric, item statistics is used for understanding and management of problems. It is mainly used in action research. Psychometric is meant for development of theory on test reliability and validity, but in applied psychometric, reliability and validity coefficients are used for solving regular problems in life. In psychometrics, norm estimation is used, and in applied psychometric, situation-specific norms is used for classification and management. Knowledge about applied areas is not much important in psychometrics, and knowledge about applied areas is very much important in applied psychometrics to explore variability and management. So this course contains 5 modules. In first module, we taught them the definition, scope, history, and application of applied psychometrics. In second module, we taught them the scales of measurement, which include nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. In module 3, We taught them characteristics of good psychological test, which include item characteristics, reliability, validity, norm, and test standardization. In module 4, we taught them introduction to performance test, which include intelligence, aptitude, and projective test, in which we taught them construction of test, psychometric properties of test, application, and one test demonstrated by teacher in the class. In AP05, we taught them introduction to questionnaire and scale, which include personality, attitude, and values interest test. In this module also, we taught them construction of test, psychometric properties, and application of test, and one specific test is demonstrated by teacher in the class, which include Rabindric value questionnaire. This is the teacher profile. So first is Datta Roy sir, who is PhD in organizational psychology from Indian Institute of Kharagpur, founder president of RPRIT. He taught our student module 1 and module 2 with Mansi and Farha. Second is Ayushi Soral, who is assistant professor of Department of Psychology in Kanoria Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Jaipur, Rajasthan, who taught our student module 3 and 4, and Priya Verma is PhD research scholar of University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, who taught our student module 5. This slide contains the student profile. So we have 9 students. First is Arnal Joshi, who is BSc Psychology, Anne Mary, BSc Psychology, Hasina Malik, MA Applied Psychology, Monica Shri TK, BSc Psychology, Manisha Chaudhary, BCom, Mona Lisa Patnaik, MBA, Priya, MA Psychology, Dr. Rashi Kapure, Head of Department of Psychology in HPT Nasik, Sara Chavan, MA Psychology. Thank you so much for taking this course. We hope we have helped you in some way. Wish you all the best and hope to see you in another course or course series. Thank you for your attendance and participation on our course. Sir, sir, are you there?
Thank you, Farah,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
for enlightening us about the applied psychometric course, the difference between psychometrics and applied psychometrics. You have given the teacher profile, student profile, everything. So I think this is a very short introduction to our eminent speaker today. So I am requesting Professor Shah Alam to give the keynote address. Professor Shah Alam is Professor of Psychology, the Aligarh Muslim University. Professor Shah Alam is my very close friend, I can say, and we worked together in several conferences. And once upon a time, I was the executive council member of Indian Academy of Applied Psychology, and Professor Shah Alam is also with me. And we both were working in the Indian School Psychology Association. So now I am requesting Professor Shah Alam to enlighten us.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all the participants. Respected Devu Bhai, I always used to tell him Bhai because he's my elder brother. Dr. Krantiji, my friend, a very close friend, and director of Prasad Psycho, and dear participants. I have been given to speak as a keynote speaker, and when I saw the object of this course, then I thought that nothing to left for me to speak. Anyway, I have been given the responsibility, so I will try to, speak on that. You see, earlier we only know psychometrics, but I think it's a brain of Dr. Devudatta Roy that he has used the applied psychometry. So when we say applied, it means something. We are not going to use any theory, but based on theory, we try to understand the humans. If you see the earlier definition of psychology, so psychology is a combination of two words. I think everybody knows: psyche plus logos and psycho plus logos. So earlier it was defined as the study of soul, but it was discarded. Later on, it was defined as the study of mind. And if you dichotomize this psychometry, then you also find it is a combination of two words, that is psycho and metrics. So psycho here means again mind, and metrics is measurement. So how you are going to map and how we are going to assess, how we are going to measure mind under, I think, this subject, you have to learn. And without understanding the mind, we cannot understand the behavior of any individual. In fact, we can only understand after seeing his behavior. But what is going inside, nobody knows. I am before you, I don't know whether I am speaking well or not. Either you know or your God knows. So knowing these things through Rabindra therapy, I think it's a very good initiative by this institute. And he has used the word applied. So it is more than that. So there is a very close relationship between psychology and psychometric. And I say, without applied psychometric, you cannot understand the psychology of any individual.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, whatever theories, learning theories, and other theories, a lot of theories have been given. But how much we are able to implement and to understand. So before implementing anything, first you have to understand the mind of the individual. And how you are going to understand mind, that is psychometric. So because you see that theory only gives you a surface type of thing. Okay, you can guess. But exactly like a science subject, how you are using psychology, it is based on psychometrics. So you see the psychoanalysis, behavioristic, humanistic, all these approaches, they did not give. They were fighting what should be the subject matter and what should be the measurement of this behavior. Nowadays, this cognitive psychology, they are trying to understand the human mind. And you people are talking about understanding of mind through psychological test. So there are two major tasks of psychometrician, like construction of any instrument and procedure for measurement uh, of your mind, and then development of refinement of theoretical approaches to the measurement. And for that you need a special training. It is very difficult to understand the psychology of any individual unless until if you have not been trained. So in applied psychometry, I think you will be given training, particularly as the objective of your course, how to prepare questionnaire and find the reliability, validity, item analysis, and other things. But most importantly, one thing, how we are going to interpret the numerical values, that is important. So if you will be not be trained, then you cannot uh, interpret the real behavior of the human being in scientific manner. And we know that this is not a new thing, but Darwin, Galton, Cattell, they gave the individual differences and they pointed out that no two individuals are alike. Even the identical twins are not alike. And I say a single individual is not alike in one situation and similarly in the another situation. So it's very difficult to understand the human behavior. It's very complex. And to understand human mind is more complex. But if you see the researches in Europe and other things, they are at least 50 years ahead of us. One important aspect, or one important thing, we are not accountable and we are not honest to ourselves and even the institution. Okay, but there the people are completely, they are honest. Whatever you ask in the questionnaire, if something is hurting me, if something hurting my religion, if something hurting my belief, so I'm not going to give the right responses. This is a big flaws. So to overcome all these things, applied psychometry is important. So if you define it, then it's a assignment of numericals to object events according to some rules. So I think Galton, the contribution of Galton, contribution of Kettle, contribution of Darwin, but Galton is considered as father of psychometrics. So hence psychometrics instruments were designed to measure the concept of intelligence. We know the contribution of Albert Binet, uh, then Stanford Binet test, then and they main focus of psychometric test is in education to measure the personality traits and attitudes and ever of your cognitive abilities. That is more important. So if you see the subject matter of cognitive psychology, then you find perception, sensation, attention, decision making, uh, uh, problem solving, and so many. So how a person is going to solve all these things, whether the person have ability of problem solving, whether the problem, uh, whether the person has ability of decision making, then it is the only means to understand by using applied psychometrics. So abilities like general aptitude, cognitive abilities, critical thinking, decision making, learning. I think all these are should be the subject matter of psychometrics. But before that, we should understand what should be the ethics of applied psychometrics because we are lacking in ethics. We talk about psychology, but we are lacking ethics as well as interpretation of a result. One example I am giving, if you have conducted a test, intelligence test on a boy or a girl, and you said that your IQ level is more than 120. In fact, the IQ level is around 100. So see what will be the effect on the behavior of that student. He will think, I am intelligent enough, I can do anything. Uh, so there is no need to put more efforts. On the other side, if a person has IQ of more, suppose 120, and you are telling that it is 100, then he will be depressive. So through this psychometric method, you can able to predict the exact uh, number of the students which will not differ and which will not bring any agony in his mind. So before conducting any applied psychometric test, you must explain the purpose. Generally, we go to the classroom, we do research, and we don't explain our purpose. For what purpose you are doing this? The subject, naturally, our subject is human being. So before conducting any test, then you have to explain the purpose. The second is tell the rationale why you are conducting this study, why you are applying this test. You tell the rationale. You just tell, I'm going to measure your IQ level, or I'm going to know your decision making ability, or I want to know your interest area. So you must explain the purpose so that the subject may able to understand that what is the purpose and what is the rationale of that. Then maintaining confidentiality. It is, gist of psychology, whether in the counseling or psychometric test or applied psychometric test, confidentiality should be maintained at any cost. That should not be revealed to anybody. Or if you want to reveal, you take permission from the subject or the client, then you can reveal it. Otherwise, its consequences will be, negative. Then careful interpretation. That is most important part. I think Devu Bhai has done a lot of work on psychometric, and now he's working on applied psychometrics. So interpretation part is very important. Many teachers, they do not know how to interpret the result. I'm just giving one example that you might be heard about the RSPM, Reverse Extended Progressive Matrices, and 45 minutes, 40 minutes, I think 45 minutes time is given by Ravens. And he also directed that you have to explain the instructions given by in the booklet. But generally, the teachers, the learned teachers, the senior most professors, they don't follow these instructions. They used to go there, they distribute the handbook, and they say, okay, you complete it and give it to me. So many teachers I asked, the 40 minutes has been given, and why you are giving this 60 minutes or 70 minutes, 80 minutes? So if a student is completing in 80 minutes and a student is completing in 40 minutes, the score will be same. So you are going to interpret the result that both are equal in their IQ level. So interpretation should be very, very careful. And then environmental condition must be taken care of. In which environment, whether the environment is conducive or not, whether your subject is ready for giving the test or not. So all these things should be considered under ethical aspects. Since Devubhai has given me only 10 minutes, I think I'm passing 10 minutes. So what should be the use of this applied psychometric? As I pointed out, without psychometric or without applied psychometric, psychology is even not 50%. If you are not uh, relating psychology with your day-to-day life, if you are not giving clear picture, and the clear picture only can be given after conducting these tests. So a vast, area is there in the marketplace, in the school, in the college, in the business, in the Devubhai has started the agricultural psychology. In agriculture, everywhere psychology is there. Means wherever the human being is there, their behavior is there. Psychology is there. And when the psychology is there, then in which situation, how you are going to understand these cognitive abilities, their performance, and other things, that is more important. So the first, I think, applied psychometric tests are used to identify skills, sports, business, agriculture, scientific, educational, everywhere you can find. The agony of this country is that without understanding their skills, we, the parents, want to see our child should excel in every area. It is not possible. So, if anyone is interested that what type of a skill he has, then you can apply there, you can get the result, and you can convey this. Then, second is understanding personality. Personality is a big thing, but basically in applied psychometry, we try to understand the traits of the personality. What type of traits we are carrying. So when we are able to understand our personality, generally we don't understand our personality. We understand the personality of others. If I will ask, give me 10 merits and demerits, or give me 5 examples of your good traits and bad traits, you will not able to reply. But if I will ask that you tell about your friend, you will give 10, 10, 10. So first of all, we try to understand our personality. So by applying psychometry, we try to understand the uh, personality traits of the individual, and so that we can guide, we can counsel that your trait is good in this and in this, then you can move from there. Then also self-awareness. As I told you, we do not understand ourselves. So if you don't understand ourselves, so how you will understand others? So first try to understand ourselves by using this psychometric. Then it also can be used picking up a right person. Picking up right person. It helps in picking up right person. Every job requires a specific trait, a specific, psychology. And you can remember Parson. Parson is a person who is regarded as father of guidance. In 1909, he wrote a book, Choose a Career, and he pointed out that we should understand yourself, then you should understand the requirement of the market, and then you try to correlate. If the correlation is positive, then you can excel. So even in India, we do not we do not choose the right person. Though in this advanced era, a lot of people they are working on psychometric test, but we are not. But even though there are many exams like IS, PCS, and other type of examinations, they only give the mental ability test, and this give some glimpse. But when you apply the applied psychometrics, it will give the clear picture that which person is right for the which job. Then also it can be used for the understanding the human being. What type of human being is this? What type of personality is this? What type of interest is carrying? And what type of aptitude is this? So if there is a uh, correlation between your aptitude and your interest, then you can do well, you can perform well any the area in which you are interested. So it also reveals the motive. It also reveals the motive. Like narco test and other things, it can be also be applied. Then for the recruitment process, particularly in army, this psychometric test is very much popular, and they apply this test. Then for the career planning, for the school students, you conduct uh, the psychometric test. You try to know the various cognitive abilities. Then on the basis of that, you can predict this career will be better for you. Generally, our career is being decided by our parents, which is 100% wrong. They put pressure, and generally, our parents they see their own dream in their children. So, if you apply psychometric tests to understand the different type of abilities, then you can say, okay, this area is suitable and this area is not suitable. So also also helps in unbiased approach. It will minimize the biased approach, and it will also help the team building and development. How it will help in team building and development? Because like-minded people can be bring together for a collective work, like your Ravindra Psychotherapy Institute. If there are no like-minded people, how this institute will grow and develop? I think I have completed this 12-13 minutes. So thank you very much, Devu Bhai, for inviting me and interacting with the students. And really, for the first time, I'm seeing the gloomy face of Dr. Kranti, and I will love to listen him. Thank you very much. Unmute
Thank
yourself.
you, Professor Shah Alam. Thank you. Very nicely, you enlightened us about the history of psychometrics. After that, why applied psychometrics are very important. Otherwise, will not be the complete person, will be the hub. The most important part is the ethics part, because that is missing in our syllabus. So in the next time, we will give importance on this ethics part. And you have covered many areas where the applied psychometrician can work. Even the army area, agricultural field, that is very prominent area nowadays. So you have covered all of them very nicely. So thank you, Professor Shah Alam. I think that is our students are highly benefited for your lecture. So now I am requesting Dr. Rama Manna to share vote of thanks.
Good evening. Good evening, Professor Shah Alam sir, Dr. Kranti Srivastava sir, Dr. D. Dottoray, and my loving students. So I am thankful to all of you. You have given us time for this program. I'll request Professor Alam sir and Dr. Kranti Srivastava sir that you have mentioned a huge scope of this applied psychometrics course. So I think as it is need-based and very much situation-specific area, so there are various tests we are using from a long time, but that test has not been validated, and we have not developed our own norm. It may be our local and regional norm we can establish. So there's a huge scope of applied psychometric course. So I think you will be, both of you will be our pathfinder and will provide a scope to work in a broad spectrum. So thank you, sir. Yeah. So I think in future you also will be with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramabanna. This is the thanks for the inaugural session. So now is the next session. So I'm requesting Farah, please you mention one by one the presenter's name, and the candidate will present the paper.
Okay, sir. So let's begin the program, everyone. So first is Arnold. Arnold, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Yes. So all the best, Arnold. Arnold, your module is AP04, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's begin with Arnold. All the best, Arnold.
Ma'am, I can share. Can I share PPT or you will do that?
Yeah, you can share the PPT, sir.
Yeah, she can. He can.
Yeah, you can share the PPT, Arnold.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
कौन असलाम मेरा प्रेसिडेंशियल चल रहा था आ जाओ तो अबान को लेके आ जाओ तो बैठेंगे हाँ ये तो सही काम रुक जाओ 5 मिनट अच्छा जाओ आराम आराम से जाना ठीक है मैं ऊपर से लगा देता हूँ
Arnold, you please unmute and start your program. Arnold?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello?
One minute, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Sir, my PPT visible, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. My topic is aptitude tests. So we can start that. So my topic contents are I talk about definition of aptitude test and history, and the behind of history, and some types, the examples of aptitude test, and major classifications. So we can start with the definition. So in this definition, aptitude is a condition symptomatic of a person's relative witness, of which one essential aspect is readiness to acquire proficiency. So symptomatic means the sign. It's a major sign of a person's relative fitness to acquire.
Arnold, please you
Yes.
change your slide.
Make it a slideshow, Arna. Just the first slide is visible, not the latter slides. Yes, it is now visible.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So it's a definition of aptitude. So aptitude is a condition symptomatic of a person's relative fitness. So in this symptomatic means it's a major sign or a symbol, the symbol of a person's relative fitness towards any particular and readiness to acquire proficiency or expert in any particular area, his potential ability, and another in his readiness to develop an interest in exercising that ability. and how much and how intensely he or she interested in exercising that ability. It's also defined an aptitude. So then it's a APA definition for the aptitude. So in the basis of American psychology, the capacity to acquire competence or skill through training, that's a major trait of aptitude, and specific aptitude is potential in a particular area. It's mostly based on a specific aptitude, like either the person be either artistic or mathematical or science or most of kinesthetic. So more of specific. So aptitude in the whole aptitude test is a test designed to discover what potentiality a given person has for learning. So what kind of how potentiality they have in a given in a given person have for the learning for a particular vocation or particular skill. But it does, and we have assessing them based on certain things. So that's how the types aptitude tests are working. So now we can go to the history of aptitude test. So the history of aptitude test starts from the 19th century by Sir Francis Galton. So he produced the first test in the early part of the 19th century, and most of the Galton's experiments were mostly the physical and sensory based, not by any particular specific skills or abilities. Laterally, they developed. So in the mid 1930s, US Employment Service commissioned research into the aptitude of people. They start assessing people's aptitude and their abilities and skills based on the vocation they're going to have. So the research created over 100 tests. So these tests were for the 100 most common types of employment at the time. So it made a consequence of the tests. They finally come up with a general test. They start creating a general test based on they almost cover every aspect of abilities and skills for the most of the vocations and the jobs. They in the end they produced almost 12 specific tests, which concentrated on 9 particular aptitudes for the jobs and vocation at the time. So also in 1947, after the 10 years, these tests become known as the G8DB, also called General Aptitude Test Battery. Later in 1983, these tests were further updated, and then that's how they going on. So next we saw about types of aptitude tests. There's 3 major types here: the special aptitude test and aptitude tests in school, multiple aptitude tests. So in the first special aptitude test, it's a special aptitude test specifically designed to look at individuals' capacity in a particular area, like whether a person have a ability to paint well, or in a coding or something, or artistic. They may be good at writing or something. So they focus on very specific particular area, maybe the kinesthetic also. So in any organization, they may look at into any more of them in IT sector. They need a computer programmer. So if they need any skillful computer program, they have to specify the aptitude skills and screen out the employees. So for that, special aptitude tests are really useful in that particular area. So another thing is aptitude tests in school. So in the school, aptitude tests are we really need, and we have to conduct. Students encounter a variety of aptitude tests throughout the school as they think about what they might like to study in a college or do as a career. So in a schooling time also, we can predict and we can interpret whether students have the potentiality in a particular career or something, and we can assess them based on that. So for example, a student might take an aptitude test. We can suggest that they are good at with words and verbals. So if the student is more good at words and verbals, we can conclude that she might become a lyricist or linguistic, or most on a verbal based and vocation things. So it made a person to take a good path in the career. That's for the aptitude test in school. And finally, the multiple aptitude tests. So in this, it's almost cover varieties of independent and relative different abilities of any particular person. They cover varieties of abilities and skills in a single test. In some cases, such tests may even resemble intelligence tests in terms of their focus and scope. They specifically include in every aptitude test, they have whether they have basic level of intelligence or not. And for example, it's a scholastic assessment test. It's a good example that high school students take during their senior year. It's a good example of a multiple aptitude test. So based on that, they can generally make an aptitude test for every student and find out whether they have good at in any particular job or vocation or future careers. So these are some varieties of the aptitude test. We can also know that mechanical reasoning. So more of how a good person and individual can apply technical knowledge and ideas towards any gadget or something. And data checking is more of accuracy and concentrating base, how they can able to concentrate on a set varieties of and a lot of data in a particular time. And specialist, we can say that it's either person can visualize 3D shapes and images can possibly have. They can become a graphic designer or architecture or something. Abstract reasoning is more of a diagrammatic and structured ideas. Verbal ability is kind of a linguistic based, whether the person can good at language and verbal and how vocal areas. Work sampling is most in general, generally how person can good at any particular vocation. Numerical reasoning is specifically focused on how good a person in mathematical skills like as subtraction, adding, and a lot of depth of mathematical skills, and whether he good or not. If it's a person very good at in numerical reasoning, he might become a mathematician, a scientist, or something in a mathematical area. So we can see about examples of some aptitude tests, and that not just examples of how we can apply aptitude test in our real life. So a career in a particularly in aptitude, a career test evaluating a person's capability to work as an air traffic controller. So we can evaluate a person's career, evaluating person's ability for the career, and also aptitude test is given to high school students to determine which types of career they might be good at in the future. So it's based on for the future, whether they're good at being in a future career or not. Computer program test is to determine how a job candidate might solve a different hypothetical problem. So it's for the computer programming. And finally, a test designed to assess a person's physical abilities by like kinesthetic and gymnastic based on things. Need a particular of jobs such as police officer or firefighter. They have to need of kinesthetic based abilities. Further, these kind of aptitude tests are really helpful to find out. So and finally, it's a major classification on a aptitude test or any kind of test. There's a speed test and a power test. So in a speed test, the test is more focused on the how quickly or in how they quickly complete that particular test. This test concerned with how many questions a person can answer correctly in the allotted time and in a particular time. Within a time, how can we effectively they complete the task? Speed tests tend to be used in a selection at the administrative and clerical level. It's a basic level of thing in aptitude test. And the power test is more of a complex questions. They present a lot of complex and deep level of knowledge based questions, and only a person can answer with express knowledge. If there is no time limit in a power test, that's a major difference in a speed test and a power test. Speed test have the particular time limit, but power test zero time limit, and it's more of a find out whether the person have a very depth of knowledge or not. So that's what all my topic covered. So these are my references. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. It's a nice presentation. So anybody is having any doubt or any question for Arnold, just go ahead.
Arnold, power test has 0 time. It is not necessary. Sometimes in power test, you will find that time is there. Because intelligence test, for example, intelligence test is a power test and time is the factor.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
And aptitude and ability, two things are a little bit different. We have to focus on that.
Okay.
So, Professor Shah Alam, would you like to say something? Or Kranti?
Yes, sir, definitely. Because in India, I can say there is no good aptitude test. And whatever the available, it's all the old, almost 40, 50-year old, like the DAT, GATV is no more in publication now these days. And only the DAT and a few more new test aptitude battery for career counseling by Dr. Narendra Singh. He's from Chandigarh. And another test is the multidimensional aptitude battery. In that aptitude and intelligence, both the we can measure. But still we have the lot of the gap. We need the good test with the good psychometric properties. So in that way, I'm inviting everyone in your leadership. In the coming future, you can deliver some good aptitude testings, IQ testing. Even these days, if we ask anyone, just give me the 5 IQ testing name. So almost 4 tests is the imported testings. Like the Wechsler is the imported, Binet Simon is the imported testings, Vinay Kamath is the imported testings. Only the Bhatia battery, still Bhatia battery, there are 5 subtests, but Alexander Paslang and Kozlak again is the imported testings. So it's very, we can say almost we completed a more than 100, 105-year psychology in India, but we don't have our own good psychological testings. This is a lack of the psychological testings. But now you have the time, so better you just think about this and we will discuss sometime. And we require the good psychological testing at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Kranti Srivastava. I think our students have understood the gap, the research gap, as well as what are the things we have to do from the Indian perspective. And Dr. Ramamanna has also highlighted this one. So thank you. So now I'm requesting Farah for the next presenter.
Yes, so I would request Anne Mary to present his PPT on module 2nd. Anne Mary?
Yes,
Anne Mary, are you there? Yeah, yeah. All the best,
Yes,
Anne Mary. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
1 minute, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, am I audible? Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yes, yes, Anne Mary. I can see this.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Emily Thompson, and I'll be presenting on the scales of measurement and specifically on ordinal scale. So these are the contents of my PPT: introduction, importance of scales of measurement, types of scales of measurement, ordinal scale, summary, and reference. Measuring something involves assigning numbers to objects for calculation and interpretation. During our research, data can be collected in various forms, such as numbers, words, measurements, observation, or even just description of things. Some can be qualitative and quantitative data. So there are different scales, different types of scales are used to measure quantitative and qualitative data or variables. Understanding different scales of measurement would help in construction of an effective research instrument. So, what is a scale? A scale is a system of measurement for cognitive, social, emotional, or behavioral variable or functions such as personality, intelligence, attitude, or beliefs. In simple words, a scale is something that is used to measure something. Now, what is a measurement? Measurement refers to the assignment of numbers in a meaningful way, and understanding measurement scale is really important in interpreting the numbers assigning to people, objects, and events. What is scales of measurement? Scales of measurement is how a variable are defined and categorized. The psychologist Stanley Stevens developed 4 common scales of measurement, namely nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, ratio scale. Each scale of the measurement has properties that determine how to properly analyze the data. What is a data? A data is, in short, a collection of measurements or observations. Data is divided into two types, quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative data refers to variables or instruments that cannot be measured. It is usually descriptive and textual. It is also called categorical data. Some examples of qualitative data can be eye color, or in a survey when we give the data as yes or no answers. These are examples of qualitative data. Then there is another type, and it's called quantitative data. Quantitative data can be counted, it can be measured, it is numerical. Examples of quantitative data are like distance, speed, height, length, weight, etc. So under qualitative data, there is two types, nominal scale and ordinal scale. That we'll discuss later. First, quantitative is divided into two types. That is discrete and continuous. So, in discrete is something that can be broken down, or uh, discrete is something that can be broken into individual parts. Like, for example, a person may say that they have two dogs, but we cannot say that they have 2.5 dogs. It's not possible. So these kind of data is discrete. And continuous data is something that can be broken down into parts of units, or like fractions or decimals. Examples of continuous data is height, weight, etc. Time can also be broken down. So time can also be considered under continuous data. Another example can be temperature. So under continuous, there is two types, that is interval and ratio scale. Interval is something that has that if the researcher can assign the value, they can rank it. The main thing is that in interval, there is difference between the items, equal distance between the items. And in ratio scale, all of the characteristics of interval scale will be there. It can be assigned, they can be ranked, and there is equal interval between them. And one more best feature is that it has absolute zero value. And now we'll talk about the importance of scales of measurement. The knowledge about the measurement scales gives us an idea on which mathematical operations can be applied to the collected data, which helps in the construction of an effective research instruments. Next, we can move on to the types of measurement scales. As I said, there is four types of scales of measurement: nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. In this PPT, I'll be explaining about ordinal scale. So, as I said, in nominal scale, we assign, okay, I didn't say. In nominal scale, the researcher can only assign the values. We cannot rank them. It's just assigning values. Any variables, we'll assign the values. But in ordinal scale, you can assign the value as you wish, same like the nominal scale. But in this, we have to maintain an order. There's an order for the data. Like we can order it in ascending or descending order. But we cannot add them. These data cannot be added. That's the one of the limitations of this data. Okay, for understanding an example, I can say like a researcher can assign the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to a scale. And in the scale of 1 to 7, the researcher can maybe assign 1 as extremely high or extremely superior, or maybe superior, and 7 being low, extremely low, or maybe even vice versa. 7 being extremely high and 1 being extremely low. That is possible in ordinal scale. We keep an order for the data. We can assign which is greater, we can say which is greater than which. So, but the main thing is that the difference between the data values cannot be determined. For example, let's just say that we have to rank the best fast food in the industry. So we may say that KFC is ranking 1, McDonald's is 2, Burger King is 3. So it's just the order. The difference between them doesn't matter. we can't say that we can say that like KFC is better than McDonald's and McDonald's is better than Burger King, but we cannot say how much by how much times or by how greater the KFC is than the McDonald's. Now, in ordinal scale, we can the data visualization is bar chart and pie diagram. And in statistics, we can only use median because in median we can arrange the data into by ascending or descending order, and then we can take the median. But we cannot calculate the mean or standard deviation in an ordinal scale. Why? Because in mean requests you to perform like arithmetic operations like addition and division, but we can't add or subtract in ordinal scale. So therefore, we cannot use mean or standard deviation or anything. And this both ordinal and nominal scale are not metric data because we cannot assign like 0.1, 0.6. We cannot assign. That's not possible in nominal or ordinal scale. And that is one of the limitations of the ordinal scale. Now, like to sum up to give an example, some of the examples of ordinal scale is that ranking school students like first, second, third, the student who scores high and the student who scores low. And we can also use like in ratings in the restaurant, which restaurant is the best and which is the worst. Or even in our surveys or questionnaires, we use the frequency of occurrence, like very often, often, not at all. Or maybe even in the agreement, degree of agreement, we'll use like totally agree, neutral, disagree, or totally disagree. Yeah, so that's about ordinal scale. And this is the summation of every scale. So to summarize, in ordinal scale, the data can be assigned, the variables can be named, and it can be ordered or ranked. And for example, we can rank it as heaviest to lightest, and or the ranks of the players or the students from best student to the worst student. And in descriptive statistics, we can use percentile, median, percentage, and frequency. And inferential statistics, we can use median, test, rank correlation. Yeah, so that's it. These are the reference. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I think you have done some overlapping between the interval scale and ordinal scale. Okay, there is a distinct difference. So when you are talking about the strongly agree to strongly disagree or strongly disagree to strongly agree, it is not the ordinal scale. It is basically the quasi-interval scale. But when you are classifying based upon the score, that is, you are the first, you are second, third, fourth, like that, then it is the ordinal scale.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, Farah, who is the next presenter?
Yes, sir. Next is Hasina Malik. Hasina, I would like to request you to present your webinar on module 2, scales of measurement. All the best, Hasina.
Okay, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start. First of all, I'd like to say that Arnold and Anne have done very nicely. I like their PPTs and the presentation a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start.
Thank you.
Okay, please do say if you can see.
Yes, Hasina, we can see the screen.
Yeah, and just let me know if it doesn't move or anything, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's start. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Hasina Malik, presenting the topic Scales of Measurement. We will start with the definition of measurement. So, measurement is the process of assigning numbers to events, objects, etc. according to some rule. It is the process of observing and recording data that are collected as a part of research. Now, what is data? Data is a form of text observation, figure, image, number, graph, or symbols. There are two data types, qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative data refers to information about the qualities or information that cannot be measured. It is descriptive and textual. Quantitative data is numerical. It is used to define information that can be counted. Example, distance, speed, height, length, and weight. Now coming to measurement scales. Measurement scales indicate the type of mathematical operations that can be performed on the data. Mostly, measurement scales are used to describe the property of the variable or the data. Next comes the types of scales. There are four types of scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. In today's PPT, I'm going to discuss about the nominal scales. So the nominal scale is the simplest of the measurement scales. Each data in the nominal scale is assigned a label, and therefore it is also known as the classificatory scale. Examples of nominal are male, female, rural, urban, colors such as blue, green, yellow, etc. There is no comparison between the members of two groups, but a comparison within the group is possible. Arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is therefore not possible in this scale, as there are no absolute values. The descriptive statistics that are possible on such type of data are frequency, percentage, and proportion. Examples would be number of males in an office, or the percentage of absenteeism during a year in an office, or the ratio of male to female workers in the IT sector. The inferential statistics that can be performed on these types of data is chi-square, as nominal data is only categorical in nature. Chi-square is used to determine the goodness of fit and to find whether two variables are related to each other or not. Example would be there is no relation between the gender and IT sector employment would be null hypothesis, and the alternative hypothesis would be to assume that there is a relation between the gender and IT sector employment. The data visualization techniques that can be used for this type of data are bar diagrams and pie charts. Bar diagrams are bar charts depict numeric values against categorical values. Example would be car types in the x-axis and denoting the number of car types production during the year in the y-axis. A pie chart shows how some total amount is divided among distinct categories of a circle divided into slices. Each category is associated with a slice whose size corresponds to a category proportion of the total. Examples would be the sales in the third quarter. Next comes the summary table for the nominal data set showing its different characteristics. Nominal data have no magnitude, as in the numbers do not actually denote anything other than classification. There are no equal intervals or intervals at all. There are no absolute zero values, as it is only categorical. Thank you. That's all for my video. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Hashina. Very nicely you have covered. Actually, this nominal scaling is very, very important in case of the machine learning also. Today we are discussing with Dr. Kranti Srivastava about the artificial intelligence machine learning, and where we can find out this nominal scale is very vital. Earlier, people have no idea about the nominal scale, but nowadays people are thinking about the nominal scale because the computer follows 1 and 0. 1 means on and 0 means off. So therefore, the nominal scale is very vital, and nicely you have covered. Thank you. So who is the next one?
So next, okay. So I would request Monica Shri to present her webinar on module 5. Monica Shri, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
No, yeah, do your best, okay? All the best. Don't get nervous, okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, girl. So I'm gonna share my screen now.
Yes, please.
Is my slide visible? Is my slide visible, ma'am?
Yes,
Yes,
Monica.
yes,
Yes, yes,
yes,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay. So hi all. So I'm gonna my topic is attitude testing. So is my slide moving?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
It's
sir.
moving.
Thank you. Okay. So the list of the topics that I'm gonna cover is like introduction, Thurston scale, Likert scale, and application summary references. So the introduction on attitude scale is like it yields a total score indicating the direction and intensity of individual's attitude towards a company, group of people, policy, or other stimulus category. In the construction of an attitude scale, the different questions are designed to measure a single attitude or unidimensional variable, and some objective procedures are usually followed in the effort to approach this goal. So there's an example to measure an employee attitude scale. It is a single score showing that individual's degree of job satisfaction or overall attitude towards the company for the individual. There are the types of attitude scale is first one is Thurston scale. In Thurston scale, these scales are designed to provide a quantitative measure of the individual's relative position along a unidimensional attitude continuum. So it's a special procedures have been devised in an attempt to achieve the comparability of the scores from scale to scale, equality of distance between scale units, and unidimensionality or homogeneity of items. So the construction of the Thurston scale, which was made by the Thurston and his colleagues, where the scales of they used to measure the attitude towards church. And these same procedure is followed in all the other scale series. So they first started, the first step is like developing the statements. For that they gathered large number of statements regarding the church. Like several group of people were asked to write out the opinions about the church, and the search in this leads to the sort of expressions of like opinion ranging from extremely favorable, neutral to extremely unfavorable. The responses given by the people regarding the opinions or the statements for the regarding the church is then analyzed statistically to determine the internal consistency. So if the statements fail to meet the criteria of internal consistency, and those statements were then excluded, and the irrelevant statements or the ambiguous statements or all like excluded from the content, like the ambiguous or double barrel statements, which are variously interpreted by different judges, would tend to less consistency classified. So these statements are just like classified with the help of judges, like A to K, which says the extremely unfavorable to extremely favorable. Then the final scales, after the judgments of classification of the scales and the statistical measurements were done, the final scales were compressed that proved to be relatively unambiguous, relevant, and evenly distributed over the range of scale values. So all the items were sorted in table where the selection of final variable occurs. A number of early studies corroborated Thurston's original assumption is so far as scale values did not differ appreciably when redetermined on groups known to differ in their own attitudes. So these scales are still used as the procedure to for the Thurston scale. And then Likert scale. So Likert scale are selected solely on the basis of responses of the subjects to whom they are administered in the course of developing the test. So the internal consistency is often the only criterion for item selection, although external criteria may be employed when available. So in Likert scale, this type scale moreover calls for a graded response to each statements. The response is usually expressed in terms of these 5 categories, like a strongly agree, undecided, undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. The individual statements are either clearly favorable or clearly unfavorable. To score the scale, the alternative responses are credited 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, respectively, from the favorable to unfavorable ends. So, for example, strongly agree with a favorable statement would receive a score of 5, as would strongly disagree with an unfavorable statement. Though the sum of the item credits represents the individual's total score, which must be interpreted in terms of empirically established norms. So the modified Likert type scale is the Minnesota Teacher Attitude Inventory, which is designed to assess the pupil-teacher relations. Here are some applications of the Thurston's scale and the Likert scale. Is like a public opinion polling or in the market research. The main objective of market research is to investigate consumer needs and reactions in reference to products, services, or advertisements. The resulting information may be used for such purposes as choosing the most effective advertisement for a specific article, improving a type of service, preparing a new model, or designing a new product to meet customer specifications. So employee attitude assesses the effectiveness of education and training through the Thurston's or through the Likert scale. So here is a summary or a kind of a small conclusion. Like it says that the discrepancies between verbally expressed attitudes and overt behavior have been noted in a number of studies. So it has been further pointed out that even observations of overt behavior may not always provide an accurate index of the attitude. So here is an example which says that an individual may profess strong religious beliefs and attend church regularly, which is why not because of the religious convictions, but as a meaning of gaining social acceptance in his community. So these types of discrepancies happens in assessing attitude. So Thurston's scale and Likert scale are developed and employed to examine these kinds of attitudes. So the large majority of attitude scales have been developed either with the Thurston or the Likert technique. So the references is from the book of Anastasia, and that's all my content. So thank you all.
Thank you, Monica Sri. It's very good presentation. Only thing that is you can cover the difference between the two. So
Yes,
that you
sir.
can cover in near future. It's very good presentation. You have covered the mainly this Likert and Thurston. Everywhere, wherever you will face any interview, and if the interviewer asks any question about the Likert, then automatically interviewer will ask about the Thurston. So please be very much clear about the difference between the two, the scoring procedure and other things. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So who is the next Farah?
Yeah, so I would like to request Sarah to present her webinar on module 4. Sarah, are you there? Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all the best,
Just
Sarah.
a
Okay.
second.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, but I can't see your PPT.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. All right. So good evening, one and all. My name is
Sarah. I can't see your PPT. Only the screen is there. No PPT is there. Yeah, now I can see your PPT. Okay, yeah, go ahead. All the best.
Wait. Sorry. Is it visible now? Just a second. I think there's some network glitch happening.
Yeah, now I can see your PPT. Okay, it's gone again.
The slides are moving also?
No, they're not moving.
Now?
No, yeah, now they're moving.
Okay, there's some lag, I think. Just please bear with me. I'm really sorry for that. Should I begin?
Yeah, sure. All the best.
Yeah. So good evening, one and all. My name is Sarah, and I'll be covering the topic of validity today. I understand that the module on the characteristics of a good psychological test is huge, and given the time restraints and to do justice to the topic, I thought it would be better to focus on validity as the topic for tonight. So the topics that would be covered in this presentation would be the first question of what validity is all about in the first place, then the types of validity, that is face validity, content validity, criterion related validity, under which we would be talking about briefly concurrent validity and predictive validity, importance of validity, and then a small snippet on measuring validity in psychological testing. So starting with the topic of validity, what valid is all about. I guess everyone over here is well informed. The classic standard definition, which every textbook has taught us, that validity is all about what the test measures, really what it purports to measure, which means, as Anastasi and Urbina 1997 have stated, that validity refers to the attainment of purpose for which the test is prepared. Thus, a test which serves the purpose for which it is designed is said to possess the characteristics of validity. It means the degree to which a test measures what it claims to measure. So, in general, we can say that validity must be determined, therefore, in relation to the purpose of the questionnaire or the test, etc. So, for example, if the test says that it measures the individual's understanding about Indian history, we will expect the questions about it to focus on Indian history and not really about other topics, say the schools of philosophy in India or anything else, but very specific, very context specific to Indian history. That would be a good measure or a good test for understanding the individual's knowledge about Indian history as the construct, if we are considering. Talking about the importance of validity, we understand that psychological tests are used in various fields, not just to list a few is to recruit personnel for important defense positions, to recruit employees for tasks at organizations. They are also used for criminal profiling. Psychological tests are used for career decisions and career guidance. You name it, and there's a psychological test for it. So if that is the situation, if the tests that we are using are not valid, then definitely it is going to affect our accuracy of understanding of the world. At the same time, without it, the decisions about societal issues could be misinformed, wasted, or even harmful. For an example of it, say the researcher wants to assess the political orientation of the Indian population. Till recently, we did not have a very well-constructed test to understand political ideology of the Indians. We were still using the political compass, which is more applicable to the Western population, which talks about topics such as laborers and conservatives and the societal situations that are more applicable in the West. So the concepts on which our political leanings are based were not really covered, and thus the political orientations that were tested were not really that well informed. So for that, context specific validity is very important, and thus we need to be more accurate with the tests that we are constructing. As well as we mentioned that psychological tests are used in various fields. A test-based decision about individuals could be misinformed or harmful, given if the test that we are using is not valid. Moving ahead with the types of validity, we will be talking very briefly again about face validity, content validity, criterion-related validity, under which we would be talking about concurrent and predictive validity. So, starting with face validity. So as it can be read that it describes the appearance of the questionnaire to the respondents, that is whether or not it looks as if it is measuring what it claims to measure. Say, it might be a situation that would have happened with many of us. We were appearing for an examination and there were some questions that came up to be like, Arey, this is out of syllabus. It is something that we never studied. This is something that I'm not knowing, or this is something that was not taught in class. And because of which we did not really have much motivation to give our best for those questions. We were like, chalo karna hai to kar lenge. We are not really involved in answering them to the fullest potential that we could be. So what really happened over there? It was that it was measuring your ability or your understanding about that particular topic that was tested. But because you did not feel that the question was applicable in that context given, you were not motivated to answer it correctly. That is what happens in face validity, where the respondents do not believe or do not feel that the items of the test or the questionnaire are applicable to the topic. And thus they are not motivated, they are not really involved in the test, and they might give random answers or whatever might be the situation that would hinder them from performing to the fullest potential, and consequently hindering the researcher from understanding responses of the candidates. So that is about face validity. Talking about content validity, this is a relationship between the content and the purpose of the questionnaire. That is whether or not there is a good match between the test specification and the task specification. So an example that is mentioned here is the blueprint for a questionnaire should be used in job selection should match the job description. As even Arnold was mentioning in his presentation, say for example, we are measuring mathematical aptitude for the position of a bank manager or a bank clerk. And we are giving them questions on mathematical aptitude that are in one form, in one section. There are people who are getting the questions that are more application oriented. Say, for example, there are profit and loss questions. There are questions about, okay, these are the bank statements and how would you analyze them? On the other hand, there is another set of candidates who get questions about, okay, there are so many watermelons and you have to sell it at so and so cost to make so and so profit. So how would you do that? Basically a hypothetical situation that is not very applicable. Who do you think in this situation would score better and be a better candidate? Anyone would like to take the question? Okay, to go ahead with the presentation, the people who are given more clearer content, more applicable content would be better at faring at the test, because for obvious reasons, the content that is used in the test has a huge role to play in how the participants respond to it. So in content validity, usually it is confused with face validity because it seems similar, but face validity is about how the respondents see the content validity comes from the place of making sure the construct that we are measuring is well justified, is well presented and well tested in the questionnaire or the test that we are using, for which we take assistance, we take help from subject matter experts who have been working in the field, who have knowledge of that particular construct, to construct a test, to devise a test that would very well cover the construct that we are trying to test. Moving ahead with criterion related, this is related to question. For example, with a marital problem questionnaire, we would expect couples on the verge of separation to obtain score that indicate it is important to select a criterion measure that is relevant, reliable, and valid. There's a spelling mistake. I apologize for it. It is the word should be valid over there. So criterion related validity, it talks about measuring our scale or comparing our scale against another scale that has been taken to be a standard, that has taken to be a measure which has proved to be very to have progress in the that we're trying to measure. In the colloquial terms, if we have to see at it, it might be like comparing our child's performance against Sharmaji ka beta. Basically, a that is said to be okay. This is a good standard to understand our ability, and we have devised particularly a new test, or we have revised our test, and we want to make sure that the new test or device is still the mark. We compare it with the already established test. So criterion validity has two parts, which is concurrent validity and predictive validity. It is if we talk about concurrent validity, it includes the predicting an alternative method of measuring the characteristic of interest, while predictive validity, it relates scores on the questionnaire to the future criterion measure. That is, it shows the relationship with future behavior. Example, the predictive validity of job selection questionnaire can be calculated for correlating questionnaire scores with future achievement at work. So when we have to predict even GRE scores or SAT scores, that the exams that we appear for while preparing for abroad studies, they are used as predictive scores to judge whether the child would be able to perform well in their future education, in their future endeavors, on the basis of which the candidates are selected for the courses that they apply. Moving ahead with measuring validity, it's more of an idea that I have given over here. That is, face validity is when the items, the test items appear to measure what they are supposed to measure from the respondent's perspective. Content validity, as I've already mentioned, it evaluates how the test covers the relevant parts of construct being measured. Over here, we usually use the content validity ratio or the content validity index, which is then then checked through the Loshe table to make sure it is statistically applicable. And in criterion related validity and predictive validity that are obtained by correlating the questionnaire score with a criterion measure, that is the established test for a group of at least 50 to 100 respondents. The higher the correlation coefficient, the better is the validity. To summarize today's presentation, I have covered very briefly the topics of face, content, and predictive and concurrent validity. There are many other types of validities and a very detailed study of all of them. Even in applied psychometrics, we talk more about differential validity, which has not been covered in this presentation due to the limitations of time, because it in itself is a huge topic for discussion, which can have like an hour-long discussion on its own. So I apologize for the limited content that has been presented over here, but here are the references that I've used primarily. And that was it from my side. Please, if anyone has any questions, I would be more than honored to take them.
Shobhara, who is the next one?
Sir, next is Manisha. Manisha, I would like to request you to present your webinar
sure.
on module 4.
Hello,
All
everyone.
the best,
Okay,
Manisha.
please do not take much time.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Is my screen visible? I guess yes. Okay, my screen is visible, I guess.
No, not yet, Manisha.
Okay. Now it is visible. I guess yes.
It is visible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My topic is performance test. So I have chosen intelligence out of it. First of all, I would like to tell you that intelligence is a basic concept that we have. It is actually the ability to think, to assess, to learn. Then we have performance test. In performance test is the one that the test taker must have the knowledge of the test that is being conducted. So we have DAT, DAP, TAT, and also graphology in performance test. And performance test, it ensures the reliability of the test. So next is intelligence theory. So theory of intelligence is based on the analytical skills, then critical mindset, and also practical skills. So two types of intelligence we have, that is fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence. So fluid intelligence is the one that comes from the genes, which is genetics, and crystallized intelligence is the one that we gain over a period of time through our experiences and through the knowledges that we gain from the environment. For problem solving, we need both the intelligences. So next is IQ. Now, intelligence is measured through a test which is called IQ test. And for IQ test, we need our mental age, which is divided by our chronological age into 100. So next we have the IQ description. Psychologist William Stern has coined the term IQ for the first time. And intelligence test was introduced by Alfred Binet and Theophilia in 1905. And next we have the Whistler Intelligence Scale. It actually evaluates, it is a scale, it evaluates the IQ test. And after that, we get full scale IQ test. So next we have this. Now here we can see verbal comprehension, perceptual reasoning, working memory, processing speed. All this can be measured through this scale. Also for ADHD, it is very useful for measuring the ADHD. Next, we have the ranges of IQ. So here we have, if it is 100 or more than 100, then it is average or high average. So next is the summary part. Like in psychometrics, we focus on the problem solving. And intelligence is the ability that makes us learn and think. So next is the references. And thank you so much for giving me the time. Here all I have to say.
Thank you, Monisha. You have very good IQ for management of time. Thank you.
I guess. Thank you so much, sir.
So, Farah, who is the next one?
Next is Priya. Priya, are you there? Priya. Okay. Kapuri ma'am, are you there?
Yes, Farah.
Yes, ma'am. You can present your topic.
Can I share my screen?
Okay, Priya, you are there? Yeah, okay. Okay, Priya. Okay, you can go after Kapura, ma'am. It's okay.
Shall I share the screen?
Yeah, ma'am. Please.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yes. As our topic was covering AP04 model, earlier I have decided to cover both intelligence aptitude as well as projective test. So some of the slides are showing that content, but now I am focusing only on the projective tests. And content describes basically history, basics of tool, and uses or application. So as all of us are aware about this scheme, who are the people or what exactly the classification given about projective techniques. And as per referring the standard books, I have found out 3 of them. One is given by Frank. He classified projective techniques in 5 types. One is constitutive, constructive, interpretative, refractive, and cathartic. Then in the year 1959, Lindsay has given the classification about association, construction, completion, expressive, choice. And last is given by Best in the year 1978, that is association, completion, role playing, and creative or constructive. But when we look at all of this classification, they are little overlapping. So the last and more suitable classification was given, that is divided into 3 types, that is pictorial, verbal, and expressive. So whatever the tests currently are used under projective techniques, they are based on this 3 classification, and I'm describing about that also. But what is the theory regarding this projective techniques? And one must remember the name pre-association technique given by Galton, as well as it was strongly recommended by Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. Because when we talk about the projective techniques, the basic word or term behind that is projection. And this was given by Sigmund Freud related with defense mechanism. And the famous name related with projective technique is Hermann Rocha, though he lived very less life of his life, but he started developing this particular technique in the year 1921. And later on, various American psychologists have started using this test in a very prominent manner. So what exactly Rocha-Inglot test is? Though we say that it is a little subjective test, but yes, there is little expertise is needed or strong expertise is needed to conduct this particular test, as there are various ambiguous stimuli or there are different unclear pictures shown in the cards, and they are trying to focus on the inner aspects of personality. Basically, these cards are trying to reveal whatever is coming under the individual's motives or conflicts, or are they based on their unconscious desires or wishes. So compared to other questionnaires, these are trying to focus on the hidden behavior or hidden characteristics of the client or the patient. As all of we are aware about personality tests or any test of the personality as such, we don't expect the client to focus on what is right and what is wrong for him. Same way, when the Rocha has been conducted on the clients, they try to understand whatever is underlying his particular motives or needs. So that's the only this requires little more expertise in understanding or finding out the results. These are some of the examples I had just shown in this slide, because Rocha is consisting around 10 cards, in which 5 are in black or shades of gray, while 5 are in color with white background. But if you see these cards, you will also understand that these are all the pastel shades. And definitely, these all original cards are really very important and authentic, because whenever we administer this test on any client through various kind of determinants, the examiner has to check the results or its related responses. These are some of the other examples. Yes, as I said earlier, I can say very strong research and I can say very long research has been developed related with scoring of this Rocha-Inglot test, because Rocha couldn't complete the scoring part of this particular test. So later on, whoever has done the research, the one strong name is Exner, and he developed one manual which is known as comprehensive scoring system. And he tried to rate the responses on the basis of various determinants like location, content, or how far the responses are popular or original ones as such. Similar to Rocha, there are various other techniques which can also fall under the category of projective techniques. The name, simple names for them are like sentence completion tests. Few examples I have given here. Like there are the sentences, half the sentence is there, and the examinee has to complete the sentence. Like my mother is dash dash dash. Or one another example is like my greatest fear is dash. Then one another very strongly used test is TAT, that is thematic perception test, or the childhood version for that, which was also developed in India by Dr. Uma Chowdhury, that is children's perception test. And both of these tests are based on Henry Murray's need theory. Like all of us has studied about this, like need for achievement or need for power and need for affiliation. In this TAT also, again, there are 20 cards, including one blank card, and the subject has to narrate a story on the basis of each and every card. Same way, there are various other tests covering under ink blot test. One popular one is HIT, that is Holtzman ink blot test. Now, just coming towards the end of this particular presentation, because as sir has suggested us to cover in the time, I have not given in much detail regarding this application and summary, but strongly we can say the use of Rorschach ink blot test as well as the other projective techniques are purely used for personality assessment. Not necessarily always there is a clinical purpose as such, but if the person wants to check about his own personality and he is not very much happy with self-report assessment, we can conduct Rorschach test or HIT test on him or her. Then the second very popular use of Rorschach in psychiatrist hospital or even in the OPD clinics of clinical psychologists are on the basis of clinical diagnosis. We can get some guideline regarding how one can diagnose the problems of the person, or rather the current symptoms can be relatable with the personality as such. Then third, and now it is quite popular, that is insidious exam also. One of my students has just now shared key. They have such cards like PAT, and they are being used to conduct some kind of selection as well as placement as such. I just at the end shared this one CAT related card, in which if you see there is one lion sitting on the chair with pipe in his mouth. Just mention about how this lion is looking at, like, or how the child might write down the story, like he might be a father figure and how far he is now towards the end of his life, or he is becoming old and little helpless, and how one can be able to narrate a story. So I prefer this children's perception test. Why? Because compared to the human adult figures in this, they have shown figures, because children can easily relatable with this animal figures. They are like more happy with the characterization of the animals rather than the adults or human beings as such. One more card I have also added here. It is related with the two puppies. One is the adult puppy and the other one is like a small dog as such. And through this card, the child can be able to share some needs or motives of his unconscious behavior rather, and through that one can be able to understand whatever is going through his or her mind as such. And in CAT also they have mentioned about the various determinants, or we can call them as variables, like how the child narrates a story, whatever the hero of that story, what exactly the theme or the idea behind the story, how one can end up the story, and rest of the thing. I don't want to go much in detail, but these are the basic projective techniques or behind idea related with that. And these are my references. I couldn't complete a presentation in more detail because I think 7 minutes are not very big time to cover this vast topic. But yes, definitely whenever I will get a chance, I can narrate more in detail about this. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. When
Thank
we
you,
are
sir.
discussing about the XNATs, and we have to think about the Crawford search. Okay, so when you are talking about the XNATs comprehensive system, before that, Crawford basically interpreted this Rorschach system.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we should not forget.
Okay.
Another thing, that is the Murray's theory behind this, particularly CAT or TAT, it should be considered. And of course, the Piaget's theory and the Erickson's theory. But you do not have that much time, so I'm just highlighting that. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, Farah, who is the next one?
How many students have left? Sorry,
one
how
student.
many students have left?
Only one student, maybe.
Left. Okay. Okay. So hardly 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'll share.
Yeah. Priya, are you there?
Yeah, I'll start sharing.
Yeah, Priya. Okay, yeah. Share your screen, Priya.
All right. Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about the introduction to psychometrics and applied psychometry. So where we'll cover the definition and the key concepts involved in it. Okay. So like I said, we'll talk about some contents. What is psychometrics, different types of psychometric tests, different characteristics of psychometrics, and the uses as well. So psychometrics was actually coined from two Greek words called meaning mental and measurement. Right? It refers to a field that is devoted to testing, measurement, assessment, and related activities. It looks at the theory and technique of psychological measurement, which quantifies knowledge, abilities, attitudes, and personality traits. So psychometricians are the people who practice psychometry. They create scientifically valid and reliable instruments such as questionnaires or different types of tests, or that we see intelligence tests, subjective tests, personality tests, all of that, to collect data and provide a quantitative measure of that data. Okay. So applied psychometrics is a subfield of psychometrics where it's more problem-oriented and solution-focused. Where it's concerned with constructions of measurement models for psychological constructs in problem-solving or decision-making. So, for example, for a particular in a particular workplace or a job setting where you need to make a questionnaire for a particular activity, for supposing for hiring someone for a particular hiring process. So we come up with a job description and job analysis of the entire job, and then we can create a questionnaire on it to find the best suited candidate for that job. So that entire process would come under applied psychometry. Okay. So different types of psychometric tests as have been widely covered by different presenters as well. So we see that aptitude tests, they help us know whether the person has the ability to learn or apply the particular skill, right? Then we move on to cognitive tests, which evaluate our reasoning, mathematical, verbal, memory capabilities as well. The most common type of cognitive test is IQ test. We have different tests which test on neurocognition as well, like Woodcock Johnson. With IQ, we have immense amount of IQ tests that have been standardized and are used widely all throughout the world. And next we go with personality tests. So they help us understand the different personality traits that a person might have, their emotional adjustment, motivations, attitudes, etc. Okay. So some characteristics of psychometrics would be psychometric reliability, which refers to the consistency of the test. So it's the extent to which the test scores are accurate and without any measurement error. So a reliable test would be precise and consistent. This means that by consistent, we mean that similar results are found under similar conditions, under invariable conditions, as we say. So if the test is able to produce similar results, it's a reliable test. Right, so there are different measures of reliability. We have test reliability, parallel forms, internal consistency, split half method for reliability, all of those. Then we move on to validity of psychometric test is defined as the degree to which the test measures what it claims to measure or what it purports to measure. All right. And we have different types of validity as well: face validity, criterion validity, content validity, so on and so forth. So different types of validities can be calculated to see whether the test is actually valid or not, whether it measures what it claims to measure. All right. Then we move on to psychometric tests often are normed against groups for comparison. So norming is also immensely important. They need to be compared against a representative sample. Right. So what happens is that the individual scores that are obtained are compared against the representative sample for the same, and we see where the individual stands in that sample. There are different types of norms that are created for each test. There are age related, criterion related, or grade level related variety of norms that can be created. It's very important to do so. So some of the uses of psychometric tests involved in industries for assessment centers. So like I said, for job related activities, definitely helpful. In school, for counseling and guidance, so IQ tests, aptitude tests would come under this criteria for school population. Then we go to forensic psychology, where it assists in legal services, right? So to deem a person legally insane or a criminal legally insane, we do refer to a lot of battery of psychometric tests for this purpose, right? And personality integrity in clinical psychology to come to a diagnosis. We refer to a lot of psychometric tests or diagnostic tests that are available. to help us and to confirm our diagnosis basically. And in environmental psychology, to develop pro-environmental attitude and behavior. Right? It's mostly concerned with the individual differences that we have in our behavior. Okay? So thank you so much. That was it. That was my presentation for today. These are the references that I used to create this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. So I am thankful to all the students for their presentation. Now I am requesting Professor Shah Alam to say few words. After that, I will request Dr. Tanti Srivastava for the valedictory address, and then Manisha, Manshi Mathur will give the vote of thanks. So Professor Shah Alam, please.
Yes, it's a very interactive and informative session, and everyone has presented nicely. And really, they should be given more time. At least 15 minutes should be given, and within 7 or 8 minutes, nobody can express themselves. But anyhow, the program is excellent, and I appreciate all the presentators. They are presented very nicely, methodological, and I think that they have understood the concepts. That is why they are presented within the given time. So I think this uh, should be a continued program, and we should discuss about the applied and psychometry. And psychometry, just as Karantiji pointed out, really we lack uh, many tests in Indian system. Though I think in Calcutta, the first psychology department started in 1916, but you are taking lead. So we have great hope from you, and we are behind you. And I assure you, whenever you will remember, I'm with you. And for the cause of this applied psychometry test and other things, because I think I was sharing with Dr. Kranti that in India there is only one person who knows better psychometry, that is Devi Bhai, and along with the Astro 6. So two qualities are there. But without any hesitation, I'm not butchering you, but I'm telling the facts. I have been interacting with the many peoples, and I know the really the cognitive ability of yours uh, regarding psychometrics as well as statistics. So first test which will be developed will be applied on you. So I am once again thankful to you for inviting me, and hope we'll meet in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Shah Alam, for your enlightening lecture. Now I'm requesting Dr. Tanti Srivastava for the valedictory address. So please you focus on the IAP conference and also the activities of Prashad Psycho Corporation. Another thing that is, if it is possible to conduct any more with your organization for test development, test validation, etc. So if there is any opportunity in near future. Please
You are
unmute
yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Dr. Shanam left one more point. Your third quality, it's a smiling face also, all the time. Okay, so many thanks, sir, on the all the students. It's a very good program, and this is the best thing is the good time also. So everyone is in a relaxed way, so they can conduct this program. And I think you all know the Indian Institute of Psychology, and then the collaboration with the Delhi University. This year we are conducting the 58th National Conference of the Indian Association of Applied Psychology. Almost I think as per my information, it's a oldest association in the India field of the applied psychology. So psychologyconvention.org is the site, and all the details Devu sir have. Sir, is it possible I can share you through the WhatsApp, and you can share all the students?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I will send you. So I'm requesting you everyone to please must be join this event, because this year I can say this is a very mega event, and now this time we are conducting the Vigyan Bhavan, and hopefully I got the confirmation from the HRD minister, but I also sent them a request to the PM Modi, and hopefully he will come for the as a chief guest this time. It's a 3-day program, February 15th, 16th, 17th in Delhi, Vigyan Bhavan. And second thing, Prashad Psycho is almost a 50-year-old company, and we have around more than 1,200 psychological testings. And we do have our research department also. In that, we are regular basis, we are conducting the new test, different tests. And we also develop the in-house test, lot of the in-house tests. And also we take from the author side also. And I think, yes, I think it's a confirm. I already published your test also, sir. Devu sir.
Yes, the reading, writing, motivation test.
Yeah. And 3 or 4 tests, I remember, authored by Dr. Shah Alam sir also. I think 3 or 4 tests published by Prashad Psycho, and it's authored by Dr. Shah Alam sir. So still there is a lot of the gap in the field of the psychology, and the new good product as a psychological assessment. So definitely, sir, because now you are free. So I'm not saying you have the lot of time, but must we have the time? So we will think and we will discuss in the details. So within a short of time, we can conduct, and we can. I think there is one more program you are conducting with the IIP.
Yes, on 16th and 17th, the principal component analysis, I think.
So from tomorrow, because today everything is finalized and first leaflet is already out. So we will send this to almost, we have the database around 27,000 delegates, the psychologists all over India. So we'll try to facilitate this program. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And we have also very good database.
Yes, sir.
Because we conducted many programs, very short and long-term programs also. So we have very good database. We will circulate this advertisement to show, please you give your advertisement.
Definitely.
And here I like to share everyone that there is a gap basically about this psychological test. Okay, and because our psychological test mainly have been developed for the educational purpose and the clinical purpose. But again, the psychological tests are very essential for the agricultural purpose. So whether the intelligent test for the farmers, that is also important. Therefore, you can think about it. It is not only for the clinical purpose. We can think about the agricultural farmers. We can think about the climate change issue. So there are different issues. We can think about it. So this is my humble suggestion to all the students. You can think about it. In near future, we'll redesign our course and we'll incorporate some new, so that many people can join and many people can understand the different approaches of psychometric testing and particularly the procedure of the applied psychometrics. So thank you, Dr. Srivastava. So now I am requesting Manshi Mathu, please give the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Datta Roy sir for giving us this platform. And I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Shah Alam sir and Dr. Kranti Srivastava sir for enlightening us with your words and for sparing your valuable time with us. It is very inspiring to hear you. And also, I would like to thank all the presenters. You all did a really good job. Thank you, Rama ma'am, for joining us. And I thank all of you for being with us in this webinar and sparing your time with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Manshi. Now I am requesting all of you, please close your hands before taking one snap for the prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So be complete person and peace, peace, peace everywhere. So now I am requesting all of you, please open your video so that we can take on. Manshi and Farah, please take the snap. Hashina, please you open your video. Hello, Farah, please you open your video. Okay, so yeah, Farah, please take one snap. I'm requesting
Yes,
Manshi
sir.
also, please take the snap. And the students, please take the snap.
Yes, sir. I've taken the snap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
sir. Thank you, everyone.
Tomorrow again, we have the program at 3 p.m. So please be present there also. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.